Hello everybody and welcome back to more political chatter. In this video we will be talking about the 2024 presidential election and why, in my opinion, it is not as much like 2016 as we think. In 2016, of course, this was the election where Donald Trump won, right? He was able to capture 306 electoral votes to Hillary Clinton's 232, an astounding victory considering that on election day he was given like an 8% chance of winning or whatever, but he was able to beat Hillary Clinton by 74 electoral votes, which was just, absolutely incredible, and no one really expected that. And he was able to win extremely narrow victories in Wisconsin by 0.76%, Michigan just 0.22%, and Pennsylvania 0.72%, as well as hanging on to states like Arizona, which only won by 3.5, North Carolina, which had won by 3.7, and then he was able to flip the state of Florida and win that state by 1.2%. So this was, obviously a major win for Donald Trump. This was extremely unexpected, and I really don't believe that even though Donald Trump is favored to win the presidency once again in 2024, I think that most people can agree on that. I don't think that it is for the same reasons as 2016, and I don't think actually that if he does win, that it will be as much of a win as the 306 to 232 margin that he got back in 2016. I believe that it will be a lot closer for a few specific reasons. So again, this was a huge win, and I don't think that he would be able to replicate a 74 electoral vote margin between him and Joe Biden as he was able to do against Hillary Clinton in 2016. Looking back at the 2016 election, an election that I think we will all remember, I was in first grade, and I remember this election. And I really, and I'm just bringing the debate up. I'm just talking about the debate as an example, but this did occur throughout the entire campaign. But especially during the debate, it was pretty obvious that Donald Trump had some effective attacks on Hillary Clinton. I don't think that Donald Trump could have won the blue wall by such these narrow margins. I don't think that he would have won the presidency in 2016 without these presidential debates, because he had some excellent one-liners attacking Hillary Clinton. And the point is why it's so different in 2016 than it is now, because these are things he attacked Hillary Clinton for, things like being part of the establishment, for funding all of these wars, for making the world a less peaceful place, for being, an insider, being an elite, connecting her, of course, with her husband, Bill Clinton, who is involved with numerous, insider scandals and everything, as everyone knows. And I believe, and, that obviously, we know that with the emails, with Hillary Clinton's emails, Donald Trump relentlessly attacked Hillary Clinton on that, for whatever it was worth in reality, it worked for voters. And and at the end of the day, he was able to capture wins in 3 states by less than 1%, which propelled him to over 270 electoral votes. And I don't think that he could have done it without these presidential debates, without these one-liners, without these attacks on Hillary Clinton, because one, they were effective. One, they, made Hillary Clinton seem like an elite, made her seem like, she was out of touch with the American voters, and just generally effectively turned away voters, independent swing voters away from Hillary Clinton, made her seem like someone that your average voter could never vote for. And number two, made Donald Trump likable. This goes incredibly under discussed, but especially during these debates. in a weird, strange sort of way, whatever our opinion is of him now, and that is why this election is so different, is that Donald Trump was, in a strange way, charming back in the 2016 debates and the 2016 presidential election. He was funny. I mean, these attacks, as they did do what he wanted them to do, which was turn away voters from Hillary Clinton, make her seem out of touch and an insider. But it also made Donald Trump seem funny, and people generally liked him. I believe, at least, after these debates. I mean, it seems like if you look back at the debates, I mean, this is why, all of the memes began. It's just because of Donald Trump's attitude, because of his tone, how he speaks, and the nature of these attacks on Hillary Clinton. So yes, in a weird way, whether it's apparent now, which it is not. It is not the same way this time around as it was in 2016. That he was charming, back in 2016, which is just not replicated this time around. And this was clear. It is clear now, but it was also clear in 2020 during the presidential debates. I mean, there was a stark contrast from Donald Trump's debate performance back in 2016, when he wasn't president, when he had nothing to lose, and when he, seems like he came in like less prepared almost, um, compared to 2020 during the debate when, in this famous first presidential debate, Donald Trump absolutely derailed. He spoke over Joe Biden and the moderator, Chris Wallace, every chance he got. In this debate performance, he tried too hard to attack Biden or to speak over Biden, to not let Biden speak, to come off as aggressive, and that ultimately turned away, more moderate, centrist, independent, more suburban voters who care about, how the president speaks, the office of the presidency. And that turned away, again, a lot of us more centrist, independent-minded voters. But also, there was not only a difference of the way Trump spoke. Obviously, if you watch the debate, you know that Trump did not appear likable in this debate at all. He was, in fact, very unlikable, and you just wanted him to shut up sometimes. But not only that, but it was the substance of what Donald Trump was attacking Joe Biden on. Again, back in 2016, it was about how Hillary Clinton was an insider, how she funds wars, how she was an elitist, how, she was the establishment. And that did have, substance, in those attacks. I mean, that you could actually attack Hillary Clinton on, and it worked. As you can see in the 3 states, in these Rust Belt states, where, voters, where we have blue collar, male, working class voters who are very anti-establishment, and that's how he won. But that's kind of besides the point that I was going to make. In 2020, Donald Trump, kind of tried that with Hunter Biden. Didn't really work. But he, more so focused on, whatever, connecting Joe Biden to Antifa, connecting Joe Biden to the Black Lives Matter protest. And these attacks, even if they might have been more policy driven, they were in no way as near as effective as back in 2016. And Donald Trump ended up, or ultimately lost that 2020 election by losing those 3 blue wall states, as well as Georgia and Arizona. So, again, there was a very clear difference from Donald Trump and the nature of his attacks in 2016 than 2020. And that was a 4 years difference. And now we are at another 4 years later. And Donald Trump, it's not necessarily his age, but I do bring up this article because Donald Trump is just a very different man than 2016, especially. And I don't think that he could possibly, as I was saying before, I don't think that he could possibly replicate this humor, this kind of charm that he had during 2016. And especially when you look at these margins of victory. Again, I say that he wouldn't have been able to win without the debates in 2016 because of these razor thin margins. I mean, these are just about 50-50 in terms of votes. He won Wisconsin by 0.7, Michigan 0.2%. That's just 10,000 votes. Pennsylvania 0.7%. And without this charm, without this likability, without this humor that he had around him in 2016 as Americans saw him in the debates and town halls or whatever they watched or on the news or whatever, I don't feel that he could have won. And in 2024, he is even older than he was in 2020. It seems like he is even more unhinged than he was in 2020. And especially when you consider a factor like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is gaining ballot access all across the country. He's on the ballot in Michigan. He's on the ballot in North Carolina, in Arizona, in Nevada, in New Hampshire, Georgia, if I didn't say that. Critical swing states in presidential elections. Kennedy is specifically trying to get on those ballots, but especially these Rust Belt states. If Kennedy can get on the ballot, this time around, Kennedy is by far the most drain the swamp candidate. Donald Trump wasn't really able to use these, Hillary Clinton being an insider, Hillary Clinton being an elitist. He wasn't able to use those types of attacks in 2020 because he had kind of become that himself. I mean, he was now president for 4 years. He was no longer an outsider at all. At all. And as much as he could attack Biden on that, he kind of did, with Hunter Biden or whatever. He really couldn't use that to the full advantage that he could in 2016 because he had become that person. So nowadays, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., if you know Robert F. Kennedy Jr., if you're that informed in politics and your number one priority as a voter is draining the swamp, being anti-establishment, then you would probably go to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So if he is able to gain ballot access in these critical swing states, especially around the Rust Belt, where Donald Trump was able to win these states by saying drain the swamp, fix the economy, build the wall, those types of voters will now probably go to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So through and through, this election is very different from 2016. I don't think that Donald Trump can possibly put up the type of performance, the types of attacks that he was able to do in 2016. Now, I still do think he is favored, but if he wins the election, I think that Biden would be able to carry Michigan and Pennsylvania, and I believe that Donald Trump would flip Nevada. I believe he would win Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, and Wisconsin, and that he would narrowly win the presidency. So thank you all for watching this video. Make sure you all go ahead and subscribe right now. That'd help out a lot. Again, I hope you all enjoyed. Leave a comment, and I will see you all next time.